The following is a Shaw TV sports presentation.
You are looking live at Bedford Road Collegiate in Saskatoon. That is the 2017 installment of the Bedford Road Invitational Tournament. I'm Simon Hyatt. Alexander Schubert will be joining me in just a couple of minutes as the 49th installment of the Bedford Road Invitational Tournament well underway. Basketball getting ready to cede the court to cheerleading and pom competition. You can see the transformation taking place right in front of our eyes as they get ready for the annual cheerleading and pom competition, something that's been a part of the Bedford Road Invitational Tournament since 1971. Of course, it's something that has gone through its ebbs and flows, a bit of a transformation over the years. We'll talk more about that coming up as well. We'll have this competition as it will be a pom competition as well as a demonstration of cheerleading today. As I have mentioned, I'm Simon Hyatt, joined by Alexander Schubert. Happy you could join us today for this competition. Alexander, as is often the case at the Bedford Road Invitational Tournament, things running just a little bit behind because, of course, it's live sports. That's just the way it goes. So we thank you for waiting, and we're just about ready to get things going. But you were saying something to me just a few minutes ago. This actually can have an impact on the athletes in terms of the cheerleaders, the pom dancers, their warm-up routine. This can kind of set things off a little for them.
Yeah, so a lot of the time with these cheerleading competitions, the athletes will go through a pretty strict warm-up schedule where they're on certain mats at certain times. Their bodies are ready for certain times. They'll actually train this over practice as well. They'll go through this warm-up schedule quite a few times. So when they have to go through this schedule and the tournament runs late and then they end up sitting there waiting to go on, their bodies will get cold. They'll kind of get out of sync and they'll have to readjust for that. So with this tournament, since we were actually going a bit over time today, the athletes have recycled through their warm-up once again, and I think they're going to be feeling a lot better going onto the mat after that rather than sitting there waiting.
Absolutely. Cheerleading pom demonstration coming your way in just a couple of minutes. Why don't we set the stage with the woman who knows this competition the best? I had a chance to catch up with Carolyn Parr-Hillstad just a couple of days ago. Here's a look. Of course, the annual Bedford Road Invitational Tournament is so much more than just basketball. Getting ready for the big cheerleading and pom competition. So happy to be joined by Carolyn Parr-Hillstad. Carolyn, you are an exceptionally busy person, even in a building filled with exceptionally busy people coming up to the Bedford Road Invitational Tournament. You're actually coaching 3 different teams right now. What is your day like now? Is there such a thing as a regular day? Do you sleep at all?
Not so much, no, but I'm excited to have our 3 teams. We have our junior team made up of a lot of new members this year. I have 4 returning, but everyone else is new on a team of 14, so they're excited and thrilled to be preparing for their first BRIT. So it's answering lots of questions about what is going to happen and what's the day going to look like, and the excitement surrounding that. And then the team practicing in the background right now, that's our senior team, and I have 22 dancers on the floor and 3 alternates and 2 former students, Gabrielle Cousin and Lila Hedayat, that come back to help me coach, and Michaela Liedal, another former dancer, comes back to help me coach the juniors. And then those 3 girls that come back are also on the alumni team, and so we have 14 members of the alumni that will be back to demo at BRIT as well.
That is a lot going on, and you talk about just preparing them for that day of competition. If you haven't been to it, there's probably no real way to explain just how big a deal it is and what the atmosphere is like during that competition.
Yeah, I tell the kids year after year, try not to get caught up in the spectacle of the whole thing, because the gym is packed. People start lining up at 11 a.m. or quarter after 11 to get seats in the gym. It's packed, and they come with their biggest and best voices, and they are there cheering their teams on loud and proud, and there's signs, and it's just a really electric atmosphere. You need to coach the kids to stay in their moment and stay in their lane and listen to their music and not get too caught up in looking around, which is hard for the juniors. You know, it's the first time they're going to be in such an electric atmosphere, so it's exciting.
Absolutely. And you were telling me off camera before we started rolling about the alumni team. This is something that's really cool as well. Lots of people that obviously you instill the love of the sport in them because they just can't give it up.
They can't give it up. Yeah, it's a really good way for them to come back and keep dancing because a lot of them are in university, and so they can't commit maybe to studio dance to keep that up. And so it's a really nice way to stay connected to their school. A lot of them, like I said, come back to help coach, and so they're attending the same competitions and team trips anyway, so they might as well get out there and still dance themselves. And it's nice, it shows the younger athletes that you can keep going and maintain dance as part of your adult life after you graduate as well.
For sure. Like any long-standing institution, there are some changes this year. Obviously, the competition evolves over the years. Give us an idea as we get ready for the competition. What will we be seeing this year during the competition?
Right. Okay. Well, so the changes over time. Cheerleading has become a huge sport outside of school with the Warman Ultimate Cheer group. They have a great studio, and in town, Prairie Fire is a great large studio as well, or gym. And so cheer is huge outside of school, but it's diminished in the high school setting. So we only have one cheer team demoing, and that's the Tommy Douglas Senior Cheer Team. And then we have 4 demo junior pom teams that will be showing snippets of their beginner routines. And then the only teams taking part in the actual competition will be the 5 senior pom teams competing. Then we will also have demo teams, like I said, from Warman, from Prairie Fire, Willow Grove Elementary School, and the U of S Huskies will be here.
So we have every age range imaginable.
Ages,
that's
yeah.
fantastic. And of course, you folks come into this competition 4-time defending champions. No pressure there, hey?
Pressure. It is a lot of pressure, and we graduated some very gifted, talented athletes last year. So, and 2 girls moved away. So we're down 14 from what we had. So. It was kind of a starting over year when you lose over half of your team. So there is that pressure of, can we defend our title? We're in our home school. It's the first tournament of the season. And there's just a lot of pressure on the team to, you know, all eyes are on them. Can they defend? Can they rise above losing 14 members, and very gifted members at that? So it's a big challenge, but exciting for us.
Absolutely exciting time as the competition's getting ready to kick off. Carolyn, thank you for talking to us.
Absolutely.
Good luck and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thanks so much, Simon.
Now back live inside Bedford Road Collegiate in Saskatoon. Again, our thanks to Carolyn Hillstad for taking a few minutes to chat with us during what was a very busy time. You know what she's going through right now, Alexander.
Yes, I do.
This competition getting ready to kick off. What are the last few words you're saying to a team as they're getting ready to head out onto the floor, as these teams in the other gym are getting ready to do?
Well, like Carolyn was just talking about, it's really important to just focus on the routine that you know, to do your job and to be there for your other teammates. It's going to be really difficult. The atmosphere in here is amazing. It's unlike any other cheerleading competition you will compete at. There are over 2,000 people in this gym. They are cheering for you, and it's really easy to get caught up in that. But at the same time, it also really fuels your performance. So you'll see athletes, they'll probably be having the time of their life out there. This might be the most fun that they'll have all year out on the mat. So there's a little bit of a positive and negative with having that, having that huge crowd around you, but I think for the most part, we're really going to see it benefit the athletes.
Absolutely. So give us a bit of the rundown, if you can, in terms of what we're going to see specifically. As Carolyn said, we'll have one cheer team demoing, and then it's several pom teams that are going to be actually competing.
Right. Well, BRIT is kind of that first competition of the year. It's the first biggest competition of the year, arguably one of the biggest ones of the year. These are the teams, they're coming out to show what they can do in that first 2 months of practice. How fast we can put a routine together, how sharp we can be, and how much better than the other team we can be. It is a really strong competition, and like we see, the Bedford team is coming back with a 4-year winning streak. So there's going to be people gunning doing it for them, I feel like. There's a lot of status, a lot of pride with this BRIT competition, and it's really amazing to see what the teams can come out with in just 2 months of practicing. So we're going to be seeing from the pom side, this is really prominent in Saskatoon high schools. It's been growing over the years as well. Lots of girls find that they can take dance classes and do pom, or they can just do the pom squad. It's really inclusive, and those athletes, like, they're going to be doing lots of different dance skills. That's primarily what they'll do. They're working with pom-poms, so you'll see things with kind of different color poms. They'll be doing throws in there with the poms. As well, they'll be doing jumps, showing off their flexibility, showing off technical ability. And one thing that I really like to look out when watching pom is actually the formations. So what you'll see is the athletes are going to be moving around the mat to make different shapes, but often how they move around the mat is considered by the coaches as well to make for a really, like, it really just pleases the eye to see all these different shapes being made on the mat and seeing the individual athletes. Sometimes they're doing some kind of weird motion where you wouldn't really think that's a dance move, but when you see 20 people doing it at the same time, it's really like, wow, this is amazing. So we'll be seeing that from the pom squad. From the cheerleading squad, like Carolyn said, a lot of the curve has been to kind of move towards that club cheerleading aspect. So we're going to be seeing one demo team from the Tommy Douglas cheerleading program, and they've always had a strong program throughout the years, even when I was competing in the high school division, so I'm excited to see how that turns out as well. And then finally, like they said, we'll be seeing a demo from the University of Saskatchewan cheerleading team, and they compete at the national level in an adult category where they're able to throw some very high flying stunts, do some cool stuff. They're not as restricted with rules as much. And I was actually a member of this team to this year prior to a knee injury that took me out for the rest of the season, so I'm excited to cheer my teammates on today.
Absolutely, that'll be some fun to see. As we're looking around the gym, we can see just the final touches being put onto the floor because, of course, as is always the case, you want to make sure it's all very safe, have that soft cushion, so they want to make sure these mats are exactly right.
That's right, and this little mat crew, they put a lot of work into this specific event. They'll come out during class time, they'll work through putting those mats out, setting them up, taking them down 3 or 4 times in a row so that they can nail it, get it under that minute mark or whatever they're shooting for. It's a lot of fun to be a part of that crew, and it's required. They need to get that out there. The girls can't be performing over just the hard surface, so no, that mat crew is it's a little hilarious to watch. You'll see them just all go out as a unit, and before you know it, the floor is clear again at the end of the competition.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Obviously, after 49 years of putting on the Bedford Road Invitational Tournament, it's become a well-oiled machine. There was basketball being played on that floor you're looking at just mere moments. We basically came on the air as the final buzzer sounded in the game between La Boldis out of Regina, who won the championship in 2014 and 15. It was taking on St. Joseph out of Saskatoon. La Boldis pulled ahead early in that one. St. Joe's clawed back late. Ended up being a very entertaining game late, 60-54, the final score in that one. Want to remind you, of course, coming up tonight on Shaw TV and here at Bedford Road Collegiate, we will have the third place game. That one's taking place at 7:30, and then, of course, the championship game. That'll be at 9 o'clock. We don't know exactly who's going to be playing in those games just yet. We do know that in one semifinal, which is coming up right after this cheerleading competition, it will be St. Francis Xavier taking on McGrath. Both of those teams out of Alberta, Xavier out of Edmonton and McGrath out of the town of McGrath. The winner of that one advances to the championship final. The loser advances to the third place final tonight. And then it's an all-Saskatchewan matchup in the other semifinal, as it will be Campbell out of Regina taking on Saskatoon's Marion Graham. So great to see a Saskatoon team in that championship, or potentially in that championship game, playing for sure on Saturday night. Whether it'll be in the third place game or the championship final remains to be seen for the Marion Graham Falcons, a program really on the rise. So that's the basketball side of things. That's coming up tonight. Invite you to stay with us on Shaw TV. I'll have the call on that alongside Scott Hawley. But this afternoon, it's all about cheerleading and pom. We're going to have that competition coming your way in mere moments. We'll take one more break. You're watching the Bedford Road Invitational Tournament live on Shaw TV.
Ever watch TV and said to yourself, I could do that? Well, you can. As part of its community access programming, Shaw TV is looking for volunteer-run, community-produced short segments and shows. Create your own program, your ideas, your vision, on television. Bring us your proposal, sell us on it, and we'll train you and your crew, providing the professional equipment you need to make your ideas reality for free. Everyone is welcome. Get involved in making your own community program. See where it takes you.
You know, Harrison and I really enjoy cooking in the kitchen. And we want you to join us.
BRIT 2017 well underway from Bedford Road Collegiate in Saskatoon. The cheerleading and pom competition just about ready to kick off. Simon Hyatt, Alexander Schubert, very happy to be bringing you the call. You are taking a live look at the Tommy Douglas Collegiate Senior Pom team. They will be the first heading into competition this afternoon. Of course, if you have a competition like this, it's unlike basketball. There isn't a scoreboard. You have to have judges, Alexander. Quite a distinguished panel of judges we have sitting right in front of us.
That's correct, and I can see actually a few Bedford alumni on the judging panel, which is
no
good
surprise.
to see. So yeah, the judges are often athletes who have been involved in the sport previously, or have coached in the sport, or have some sort of even dance background, who go to specific judging clinics to make sure that they're all well aware of the score sheet and how they're supposed to be scoring these athletes. And they'll be watching for those technical elements of the routine that I had mentioned, those formations, those shapes that they're making, and the general execution and cleanliness of these pom teams. So what we might be seeing from these pom teams, it is very important that they are sharp. So some teams might lower their choreography level so that they can have that really sharp aspect of their team, and you'll really see some teams perform when their routines are fast-paced, they're sharp, and they're meeting all of those elements on the score sheet that we want to be seeing. The nice thing about that score sheet is it does structure the routine to make it interesting for everyone to watch, because they have to meet these certain aspects of it, certain requirements, and those make for a good show.
Getting a look there at that University of Saskatchewan cheer team. Again, as you were saying before the break, a team you know quite well. That'd be nice for you to see some of your friends, your teammates out here going to be not only taking part and demonstrating what they can do, but also I know they often assist in helping keep things safe, making sure that everything's going okay here.
Yes, no, it's good to have some experienced athletes down on the floor who can run in just in case something needs to happen there. Oftentimes there will be spotters in the back for these competitions, not so much with the pom stuff because they're just on the ground, but when the cheerleaders come out, we might see a few of the athletes step out there, and it's really great to see the U of S team as well as the Retro Red alumni team performing at these events, because they serve as a role model to the younger athletes who are looking up to them. These are often the skilled athletes who are very committed to the sport, who want to keep going with it, and they're able to show off their skills, and it's amazing to see if you're in grade 9 or 10 as an athlete to see where you can go with the sport that you're involved in. And even we have some younger athletes at the other side of the map there with Prairie Fire cheerleading, and those girls look to be they could be under 10 years old, and it's truly an all-age experience today.
Absolutely. Well, we're ready for competition time. We're going to turn things over to our public address announcer, Jordy Houghton.
Our first competing team is the Tommy Douglas Senior Pom.
So Tommy Douglas Senior Pom team making their way out onto the floor. I can only assume there's maybe as much pressure as there is for any team in this competition, Alexander. Being the first one out of the gate, is there just a little bit extra pressure on them?
There's a little bit of pressure on them. They definitely are the ones to set the tone for the competition, but it also can be a very good opportunity to leave a great first impression on the judges. So one thing I would like to add about the pom division of this sport is each routine will be coming with a certain theme. So they'll try to follow this with their music, or maybe some props like you can see here, or with how they dance. So this Tommy Douglas senior team is with a Tea Party theme this year. And this team is made up of mostly grade 12 students. 7 of them are veterans, and 2 of them are brand new to Tommy Douglas Pom. There are a number of dancers who moved up from their junior pom team, and they have been working hard this season to make a great first impression.
Let's take a look.
Yeah, and so far they are doing that with some diagonal lines in this formation, some palm work as well. Showing off that flexibility with heel stretches. So you'll notice with the pom routines that there's lots of fast music changes. They're never really doing one thing for more than an 8 count, and as you can see here, they're already in another formation. So you'll see a ripple effect there using different levels. These are all aspects that we're going to see in a lot of the pom routines here today.
And when it comes to the average person in the stands who maybe, or watching on TV, who maybe doesn't know as much about pom and cheerleading, it would seem when it comes to cheerleading, it's probably easier for the average person to tell when something's gone wrong, because obviously a formational fall apart or something like that.
Right.
Maybe a little bit more difficult to judge when it comes to the pom side of things. It's really about that synchronicity, right?
Yeah, that's true. No, with the cheerleading team, if you see a stunt come down, the stunt comes down. It's kind of hard to hide. But no, with pom, they just have to worry about smaller, more intricate details. So the judges are they're going to have an eye for paying attention to detail, and as well, if pom, they have a lot higher penalty for the little things. So if you drop a pom, let's say, that can completely take you out of the running for a first place spot, let's say. And so the judges just have to be really careful and really watch for those different aspects. But even with the degree of sharpness here, you can see that sometimes if the athletes are off, you can just kind of catch it at the end of whatever their motion is, and that just might be enough for the judges to be caught on that too.
Again, this is the Tommy Douglas Senior Pom team.
Yep. Good energy here for the first routine out there.
Absolutely. Tommy Douglas has never won the Bedford.
And there's that Tea Party theme coming forward again. A great first performance from the Tommy Douglas Senior Pom squad. Really set the tone for the competition.
Yeah, it seemed, again, from that layman perspective, a clean routine, looked solid, looked good, entertaining, and that was the main thing.
Yes.
You know, you want to entertain that crowd.
Oh, that's the biggest thing, is getting the crowd involved. If you can hear the crowd cheering, the judges will feed off of that energy too, and if they can see that you're truly getting that reaction, it has to mean something good is going on.
Now we have one of the Bedford Road teams. This is the Bedford Road Junior Pom team getting ready to hit the floor. You can tell just how big of a sport this is here at Bedford Road. Of course, thanks in large part to the contributions of Carolyn Parhilstad and others. Obviously, they have a good-sized junior squad, as well as several members in their senior squad.
Yeah, it's a very strong program at Bedford Road. This junior squad only has 4 returning members, so most of these athletes are actually new to the sport of pom, which is kind of interesting to see that we can get that many out there. So their theme this year is sugar and spice, and all songs that have that candy kind of feel to them. So they're, yes, like I said, a very new and experienced group. They're doing a shortened version of their routine today. This is so that they could really show off a sharp, clean routine, impress the judges, give them something to look forward to in the upcoming competitions, and put on a good show for us. You can hear the crowd cheering in the background. Oftentimes, too, these judges are similar judges that will be throughout the Saskatchewan-based competitions, so they like to see teams progress throughout the season and see how they can develop and where they can take corrections and make changes.
Obviously one of the home squads here at Bedford Road Collegiate, so you know, they're probably getting a little bit of a boost from the crowd here as well. Many parents in the capacity crowd taking it in.
You can see lots of work with levels there. That's kind of cool, how they're different heights of different athletes. It really gives the eye a lot to look at. Even if they're doing the same motion, they're doing it at a different height. And here we can see these are really clean lines. The person in the front, you can't see the person in the back from where I'm sitting at least. You can see they've really worked on these formations to make sure that they're sharp. And like I was talking about earlier with those transitions that you would have just seen there, you'll notice that the athletes are making shapes as they're moving. Every athlete's place is calculated on the mat. They don't just simply showcase certain people at certain spots. It's all, everyone has a place.
And in terms of the music that we're going to be hearing today, I know that in itself is an art, picking the music, picking the way that they blend together.
Yes.
Early theme, it seems to be a real blend of some older songs from even maybe when I was in high school up to some more modern ones.
Oh, yeah.
That's an art form.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of fun coming up with these themes because the coaches, the athletes, the assistant coaches are all working together on this. So you'll get opinions from someone who's 14 years old in grade 9, someone who's just graduated high school, someone who's graduated high school a little later than they'd like to talk about. And so you have all these different groups coming in and they come up with all these different music tastes, and it's really great to see. And now coming up here, we're still on the replay with the Bedford Pom. You can see them working with the different colored poms with different athletes. There were a lot of switches throughout the routine. That is definitely going to benefit their score sheet.
Yeah, very nice routine from the Bedford Road Junior Pom team. Alexander started to allude to it. Now we're going to shake things up a little bit as we've got some of the wee competitors. This is always so much fun. I know, Alexander, before we went on air, we were talking about the fact that from here you have to sprint off and do some coaching this afternoon. You're actually working with 3-year-olds today. These guys maybe look a little bit older, but these are the WUC Pearls.
Yeah, so this gym is Warman Ultimate Cheerleading. They compete, or they practice out of the Warman's Legends Center, and I believe these girls are going to be 5 years old, will be the oldest on the mat right here. And then kind of as long as they're old enough to kind of walk, talk, they can be out there.
That's pretty incredible.
Yep.
As special as it is, you have to imagine for those competitors who are in high school, this has to be an absolute blast for the 5-year-olds performing in front of a big crowd.
Yeah. Well, this crowd is so much bigger to them than it is to us, and they're probably just super excited right now. You can see the coaches are standing right in front to make sure that they're looking at the coaches and not around the crowd. And we can see some little mishaps in there, but they just keep going with their team. They're here to have fun today.
Absolutely.
And it looks like we're moving into our first stunt sequence of this routine. And they're going right up to double base there.
Look at that. Great reaction from the crowd.
And they had pretty good timing on that as well.
So when you're working at this age level, I know you don't necessarily work specifically with the Warman Club, but about how much effort or how much time is being put in by groups at this age per week, say?
At this age, they're going to be putting in 1 or 2 practices a week. It's not a lot of commitment, so to speak. It'll be 2 hours a week, but then you'll see a lot of athletes, they'll maybe be working to move above and beyond. So how it is often structured in these clubs is teams will have set practices, and those will be where they go over their routine, everything they're doing in the routine, the stunting and the tumbling, and then athletes will have to go and sign up for extra tumbling classes, extra technique classes, that sort of thing, to kind of push themselves ahead and improve as athletes. So you'll see some of these girls, they'll have their team practice 2 hours a week, they'll maybe have a tumbling class for another hour, tumbling private, a flexibility class, something like that. So these athletes, it really depends on how much you're wanting to put into the sport and how much you want to be involved with the sport.
And I would have to imagine that the earlier you started this in life, the better you're going to be later on, the easier it's going to be, because we all know when you're a little kid, you're much more flexible. You can do that tumbling a lot more easily.
Yes. And as a child too, once you learn those skills and have those, like, that muscle memory, you're never going to forget that as an adult, and they'll always be able to be they'll always be exceptional athletes. They'll have their muscles already developed at a very young age, so they'll be able to work those more than most would who are starting later. And as well, just if you're growing up with your body and you grow up with your body growing up with cheerleading, you're used to the sport throughout your whole life, rather than kind of maybe starting halfway through your finish growing when you're 11 or 12 and that kind of thing, and you're dealing with that and cheerleading, rather than always knowing how you feel and always having that spatial awareness.
Great reaction from the crowd.
Yeah.
A lot of proud parents in the stands really enjoying that demonstration from the Warman Pearls. Great job, ladies. That was a lot of fun. I think pretty much every year that gets the biggest overall reaction from the crowd.
No, they love seeing the girls out there.
All right, we're heading back into the senior competition now, as it will be my alma mater, the Walter Murray Collegiate Senior Pom team, getting ready to take the floor. Here's another look at the Pearls going through their routine again.
Yeah,
really nice job by these young ladies.
Yeah, they're very solid and their season will typically start in September, as opposed to the high schools who start in November, so they're really far along for being 4 months into the season. And we can see a little part of a secondary stunt sequence there. Well-structured routine. A lot of the time with these young age groups, you're focused more on just making sure the athletes are in the right spot. So these girls they're doing great. And here we have the Walter Murray Senior Pom team, and they are going with an insane asylum theme this year.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Usually you think of pom cheerleading, maybe tending more towards the glamorous side of the spectrum. These guys are actually embracing maybe the other side. It's an interesting approach.
No, I'm excited to see what this looks like. And they look to be like a co-ed team as well, which we're starting to see more of in the pom industry and in cheerleading as well.
Yeah,
That's good to see some male involvement as well.
For sure.
No, we've had, typically you're right, they are the kind of more glamorous themes where it'll be like a Spanish theme, Spanish dancers, or like we just saw the Sugar and Spice, but I've seen themes in the past where Tommy Douglas has done a boxing theme before, and they kind of pulled that together and used different songs that made you feel like you're at a boxing arena. So they can really, they're truly just trying to put on a show with these POM performances and really trying to be creative as they can be. And an interesting thing about this POM community is all the coaches actually got together at the beginning of the season and discussed their potential theme options and what they were thinking of, so there wouldn't be overlap throughout the competitions and throughout the theme. So that's really nice that it's such an interconnected community that can still be competitive within itself.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because people might think that it's, you know, seeing Bring It On or something like that. It might be cutthroat and not wanting to give the other people any sort of clue what you're doing. Nice that there is that that cooperation among the groups.
No, there definitely is, and it's not fun to win if the other team, if you aren't competitive with the other team. Like, you never want, in cheerleading, we never want another team to drop their stunts, because you want to beat the other team when they're doing their best, you're doing their best, really to kind of have the best routine win. So everyone's really positive. They're going to be cheering each other on. Once the teams perform, you can already see some of them sitting on the side of the mat. They're going to be cheering on the rest of the teams that are going on. It's truly, it's one of the most positive competitive experiences you can be involved with in high school.
And now moving on to another Saskatoon high school. This is Walter Murray Collegiate from the east side of Saskatoon with their Insane Asylum theme.
They're making great use of the mat here, using up all the different corners. Showing off flexibility. There's some contrast throughout some of the athletes. You'll see them all doing one thing, and maybe an athlete here or there will suddenly do a kick or a lift like that. Very interesting start with that kind of slow.
Yeah. And the needle drops.
Flexibility, yep. Oh. There we go, good energy from the boys. There we can see that formation change. Oh, some of the lines are a bit off here, but the athletes went and fixed it, so that's good to see. So we just saw a pirouette there. That would be turning as a component, one of the technical aspects that they have to nail in their routine. And there was a palm toss as well. So those palm tosses, those are kind of where, those are do or die essentially, because if you drop one of those palms, you're going to be losing a considerable amount of points. So they do a lot for the score sheet, but it is also a risk to include them in your routine. And here we can see we have blue palms on the left, white on the right, really making use of that mat space, trying to be creative with all the different shapes and colors that you can be doing. You have some athletes moving faster, some going slower, just creating that contrast, sorry.
Really enjoying their choice of music for this.
Yep. Good energy from the music.
Yeah.
Getting the crowd kind of moving along with it too. So here we can see we're still in the first 2 months of performance, so it's a really good opportunity for these athletes to be kind of learning how this competitive environment goes. Like a lot of these girls, it might be their first BRIT, and they kind of don't realize like what they're in for when they get on that mat. Like Carolyn was talking about, wanting the athletes to make sure that they can focus on their job, but these athletes are looking good for the most part. Seeing a few issues with lines, but that's just little things that will be fixed throughout the routine and throughout the season. And a good performance from the Walter Murray senior POM squad here.
Yeah, very nice job. Go Marauders.
Oh yeah. You see the athletes are breathing heavy after that routine. That was high energy. It's difficult what they're doing out there. They have to keep up. Not only are they dancing and following this choreography, they have to do it sharp and fast. So essentially someone has to be able to take a picture every count and see all the athletes doing the exact same thing. And that's not easy, on top of smiling and performing for judges, which does take energy in itself.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive because especially what we've seen with a couple of the earlier routines, they have those big smiles going the entire time. There's so many little things to keep in your mind throughout the whole routine. It's really impressive.
It is, and especially we saw with that Insane Asylum routine, a lot of it wasn't smiling.
Right,
but
exactly.
Their faces weren't just dropped. They had to keep up some intensity with that as well.
As part of their plan, yeah, for sure.
Moving on to the mat now is the Willow Grove cheerleading team. So this is actually an elementary school demoing for us. You saw a few of the athletes come out and do a round off back handspring as they made it onto their mat. This is a program, I believe this is their second year as a program that I've seen them at BRIT. And they're doing very well. They're showing off some back walkover, back handspring in the front. I believe we're going to be seeing a level 2 routine here.
And so what does that mean for people watching at home?
The cheerleading program, it's divided into certain levels. So each level comes with certain regulations as to what skills you can and can't do, how you're going to be scored, etc. So that gives you stunt regulations, tumbling regulations, and as well what the degree of difficulty you can do in your tosses. So while with cheerleading, common among all routines, you're going to see stunt sections, you're going to see the tosses and your jumps. But for this routine, and I guess it is actually level 1, they're just showing off a little bit of that extra tumbling there. They're going to be, so for example, in a level 1 routine, we'll see girls going up to double base. That'll be the highest that they'll actually reach throughout this routine. And lots of stunts that are on the thigh of the athlete. So one girl will stand on another athlete's knee while they're sitting down there. And here we're seeing our first pyramid. So cheerleading, it's important to connect skills while they're in the air as well. This is called our pyramid section of the routine. So this is a level 1 routine. The U of S, to contrast, is a level 6 team, so they're at the highest end of the difficulty spectrum, so we're going to see a good variety throughout the competition.
And interesting, I mean, although this is obviously younger competitors, lower level as you say, they look really, it's very impressive for an elementary school level group. That was pretty incredible, I thought.
It was a very clean routine for an elementary school, and I can imagine it's often hard to get, it might be difficult to arrange practices with these athletes if they're running to different things and their parents are picking them up. Getting them to stay after school might be an issue, so... No, that was a very good routine from elementary school. We don't see a lot of that in Saskatoon yet. It used to be just only the high schools, but now if there's a teacher who's willing to teach it and they can get a big enough group going for it, then by all means.
It is interesting that although, as we heard from Carolyn, maybe at the high school level, it's becoming less of an institution in terms of cheerleading, but as she said, it's maybe becoming more of a club sport. But here, as you say, we have it at the elementary school level. It's really a sport that kind of seems to go through ebbs and flows.
Yes, no, it's fluctuating, and it's still a very young sport here in Canada as well. So in America, the United States, for example, is where it's probably the biggest in the world. And you have athletes who, their mom was a cheerleader growing up, and they've been cheerleading since they were 3, and it's just in the family. You either play football or you do cheerleading, and that's the end of it. So you really see that consistency throughout school, throughout club in the States. But whereas in Canada, where it's still a very young sport, we're seeing athletes maybe trying it out and thinking it's not for them, or they didn't realize it was even a sport until they were 13, 14 years old. And it's just, there's a lot of variability because there isn't a lot of exposure to this sport in the city yet. But here we can see a pretty full high school team.
Tommy Douglas Collegiate made their way out, another one of the ones that's in the POM competition.
Yep, and the Tommy Douglas team will be the only team demoing this year. They have a very new team. 1/3 of these athletes are in grade 9, and only 5 of them are returning from last year. And they would like to ask us they'd like to tell us that they hope that we enjoy their super routine. Excellent. So maybe that could be alluding to a theme here in the cheerleading as well. So they're starting off with a stunt sequence here. And we'll quickly see. So this team is a level 2 team now. You can see they're building up higher skills. These girls are now in extended position, so the bases are holding her above their head. Very solid on that pyramid, very clean. And this team is also co-ed, which is good to see. So you can see they're very sharp. Once they finish their stunt, they wait, they've shown that they're done, they're clean, and then they're ready to move on. And here we can see 2 people under the stunt. This is a very difficult skill for the level 2 routines where they're holding one girl with 2 bases. And that's kind of been only recently seen in cheer in the past few years. at the high school level here, and that was their jump sequence. So you can see there are some overlapping parts of the routines that you'll see in both cheerleading and pom, such as the jumps, and there's a bit of a dance element in the cheerleading routine, and as well with that formation work. So now we're into a tumbling section here. Some dive rolls, some cartwheels. It looks like. So this is now the basket toss section where they'll throw the athletes in the air. And with that level 1 routine that we saw before, they're not actually allowed to do these skills yet. So there's some degree of restriction there. And now we have half of the double base pressing to that extended level, which is the highest that they can do in this group. And that was a switch. They switched their legs. Those are called a tick-tock, and that is a high degree of difficulty skill, especially when they can do it changing the degree of, changing the angle that they're facing as well. It's all those things that really add to the cheerleading score sheet.
And even though this isn't actually part of the competition, they're the only cheer team that's taking part today at the high school level. Obviously still very important. You can tell they want to do well. They want to do their best. Yes. As their season gets underway, they get ready to move on with the year. A pretty good overall performance from our demonstration team.
That was a very clean run for the first performance of the year, and that's exactly what you're saying. They're setting the tone for the rest of their competitions. If they can do it well at the beginning, they'll be strong throughout. And now here we have the U of S cheer team coming out to do a little
these
bit of a
folks.
demo. Yep.
Taking another quick look at Tommy Douglas here.
Some basket tosses here. So they're going to be showing off some twisting and flipping skills. And that's their flyer and current team captain, Ella McEwen. She was a member of the Team Canada cheerleading squad last year.
Wow,
so
that's some good height.
Yeah, they get some good height on there. Those boys can throw.
As we're taking another look at Tommy Douglas's routine from just a couple of minutes ago.
So that's called an X out back tuck basket. So you can see she does the flip and makes an X shape after. And so they're just going to throw out baskets. We would do this at practice. You go 10 minutes, just boom, 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 keep cranking them out. Wow. And there she is with that X out full. So that is one of the highest level baskets that you can do in level 6.
Very impressive
I think
stuff.
if they wanted to anything more, they'd need a higher ceiling.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We were watching that basketball game before the cheerleading competition, and there was one of those long baseball passes the length of the court, and it actually hit that divider up there.
No
so it's a bit of a low roof here at Bedford Road Collegiate. So you're right. Those tosses can't get too much higher.
No, and here looks like I think they're setting up for more tosses, I want to say, but it could just be a stunt as well.
And as you mentioned earlier, but if folks weren't with us yet, you suffered a bit of an injury, unfortunately, earlier in the year. You tore your ACL, is that correct?
Yes, so I've torn my ACL, my meniscus as well as my MCL has some damage there. I was doing a new tumbling pass, and it was the first time I had tried it out. I landed the pass and everything, which was great, but then my knee didn't really survive the blow, so that took me out. But it's really great to see them out there still. They're actually going to be competing in Denver, Colorado in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's their second and final competition of the season this year.
And so is that sort of an international competition against teams from across North America? Or?
That one is actually, they go to their first competition is Cheerleading Nationals in Toronto, and that one is kind of the more important competition for them. It's all the Canadian universities will come with their cheerleading team. It's the same kind of environment as this pom competition. A lot of people know each other. It's a very inclusive environment. Everyone wants to see what the other teams are doing, and everyone wants to see the other teams succeed. So this second Denver competition is for them to gain more experience competing, for them to get exposed to more cheerleading so that they can see what it's like in that American world. Because this year we actually it was interesting, we had a lot of new athletes on the team who hadn't been in the sport of cheerleading, who were very athletic and very coachable, so they were able to work right into the routine without issues. So it'll be interesting for them to get that experience of maybe a bigger competition in the United States.
So we just saw a little bit of a demo from the University of Saskatchewan team. Now back to the pom competition. Four-time defending champion Bedford Road Collegiate senior pom squad.
And you can tell they're the home team in here. The gym is so loud. The crowd is lit up. So Bedford Road senior pom team is supporting their theme is Support Our Troops. And described as, we start as a 50s Andrew Sister style to support the troops kind of girls and slowly evolve into becoming the troops to show strength in woman and military. And as well, they had graduated, like Carolyn had already said, they had graduated 12 members and 2 had moved schools, so they were down 14 from the previous team, and there's been a lot of rebuilding this year. And right off the bat, we see a front aerial right in the front there, a very high-level skill, and you can see this routine is fast and sharp. They have very clean lines, their formations, the transitions. You can see every athlete, there's no one out of place with this routine. Truly phenomenal.
Certainly Palm, a real institution here at Bedford Road. We saw the junior team just a little while ago. Yep. They look great, and yeah, so far the senior team delivering exactly what we'd expect.
This is probably one of the fastest routines I've seen Bedford put out in the Palm category. And like you said, it is very institutionalized at Bedford Road. These girls will all take dance classes through grades 9 through 12 with Carolyn Hillstead. They'll often work through the junior team onto the senior team, kind of going through that hierarchy, eventually hopefully becoming captain one day. And a very strong routine from Bedford Road. There we see a palm toss and some partner work as well. And we see lots of high energy music, lots of formation changes. Really good performance from the girls. You can see their faces are working. Turn section now. Keeping the energy up. The crowd is so loud in here. And we can see a lot of athletes on the mat too. That's really good to see. They'll have lots of people out here supporting them. Everyone has a brother, sister, friend on the mat. And you can see the shapes they're making with the formations and the palms in there, showing off flexibility, levels, and pretty well meeting every part of the score sheet at the same time.
And the Canadian Maple Leaf there to wrap it up. 8 times this competition has been held. 5 times the Bedford Road Collegiate Senior Palm team has taken the Palm Trophy. Will they make it 6 and 5 in a row? Well, we'll have to wait and see, but certainly seem to be a very good routine.
They seem to be one of the front runners for the competition this year. High energy, and like I had talked about this Bedford Road BRIT competition being very important to kind of get that status of being the first team to go out there and hit it with a bang. They have that much more pressure as the home team to really come out and put on a show. So you can really see, I can tell that motivates the athletes to be sharp, to be strong, to really go and work at those practices. And not even including the Bedford Road Palm team, all of these Palm squads are going to be working morning and night every day before this competition leading up to put together these amazing routines. So that hard work really shows today.
So taking another look at that outstanding routine from the Bedford senior squad, and now back to live action out on the floor. We've got another demo team. This is the Centennial Collegiate Junior Palm demo team.
So this junior palm team is made up of 16 grade 9 and 10 students, and they're mostly returning vets, but some members are new to the season. So they'll have a pretty good team culture already. A lot of the girls will know each other. They'll be on the team before. And it seems like they might be doing, I want to say, James Bond theme.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a movie theme.
Yeah.
They had that 20th Century Fox movie, music off the top, and now you're right, into the classic James Bond.
Yeah. So far, both are Bond, but both could just be movie as well. I'm kind of curious. And you can see lots of work with the levels there. This is another really sharp team, especially for a junior program.
Yeah.
I believe this is the second junior palm team we've seen today. There's a ripple.
Palm there at the front.
Yeah, a little palm drop at the front there. Luckily, they're just demoing, so they don't have to worry about the judges' score sheets, but it is something that they want to keep in mind as they want to practice how they perform. But those little things do happen. It's not the first palm drop I've seen today.
Sure.
Definitely not the first that the judges have caught, I bet. Those judges have an eye for that kind of thing. And often coming from as athletes, they're going to be looking for what they were probably most nervous about when they were competing. Because if they know, the athletes are going to be worried about being in the right spot, about dropping a palm, about maybe doing the wrong motion, that's all the things that they're going to know to look for. which is kind of interesting.
Very nice
so there
job.
we can see the replay showing off that ripple again.
Centennial Junior Palm Squad. Then we'll have another demo coming up next.
So this is another team from Warman Ultimate, and I think this group they're going to be 8 years old and under, so 5 to 8 years old. And I believe I should correct myself as well, that previous group we saw was also 5 to 8 years old. So these are and here you can see coach has to come in and move an athlete around.
Get them all lined up just right.
Once the music starts, they usually kind of zone into the routine, but when it's just quiet and there's still those distractions, that might not be the priority for them.
Yeah, that's certainly understandable. We all know what youngsters are like. Can be tough to get them to focus, but once they get going and can hopefully block the crowd out a little bit and stop waving at mom and dad, they're right into it.
No, it's great. You can see them moving into a stunt sequence. They're also hitting that double bass level. Very cute.
So, of course, these demos are valuable because they give these young athletes a chance to show their stuff in front of a big crowd, and also maybe give some of those people in the crowd a chance to see what opportunities exist in cheer and palm. But, of course, this is also a chance for the judges to tabulate their scores for the teams in competition, because, of course, we want to keep things moving, keep people entertained. So several different reasons to have demonstration squads.
Definitely. We can see them writing their on their score sheets, writing furiously here. It's often a time crunch because the judges will only they'll be able to watch the routine, and they often only get one routine after to really judge and put down all of their comments. So it's important that they're working fast and that they really can be that they know what they want to say, they can be concise. And it does help to have that U of S team there ready to demo and throw up some stunts and do some crowd pleasers if the judges are still needing a little bit more time. So we can see a pyramid section there, a very small one for this age group, but still a pyramid nonetheless.
Now, coming up a little bit later on, we will be seeing a demonstration from your club, Prairie Fire. If you want to give a bit of a plug and talk a little bit about your organization, Alexander, how can people maybe find out some more if we have some youngsters maybe watching and they think, that's what I want to do?
Well, Prairie Fire has recently updated our website, prairiefirecheerleading.ca, where we have all of the information about all of our camps, classes, teams, etc. So at this point in the season, the competitive teams have been working together for quite some time. However, we are launching a bunch of spring classes. I'm actually going to be coaching a few of these classes. That's where I'm running off to today, is that first day of that. So we coach anything from learn to cheer, where we'll coach you everything about cheer. You can be completely brand new to the sport, and we'll bring you in, we'll get you cheer knowledge. We even might come up with a routine at the end of the 4-month period for you. We have tumbling classes, and these range from intro tumbling classes where if you have no idea what you're doing to maybe you're coming from a gymnastics background and you're not sure if cheer is for you. You can check those out, as well as we've launched some stunting classes, I believe, for older athletes. There's stunting classes for older athletes, and most of these tumbling classes range for all ages. So if you haven't had a chance to get involved in September, throughout this next 4 months, there's a wide variety of classes going on at Prairie Fire, and as well those continue on in the summer as well if you're not sure if you want to get into it quite yet.
And if you reach the elite level of the sport, that is the sort of thing you can do. Another great demonstration from the University of Saskatchewan cheer team.
Great to see them out there.
Yeah, impressive work at the elite level. Now we're going to go back into the high school level. We did just see the Warman Rubies, the mini prep team out of Warman, now back into the senior competition. As up next, we will have the Bethlehem senior palm team from out of Saskatoon.
And the Bethlehem Superstars is that's the wrong Bethlehem team. We have a few Bethlehem teams coming here today.
No
Bethlehem
worries.
Senior team. So their routine is with a Divas theme this year. They have an inclusive team in its 4th year and is comprised of 17 athletes throughout grades 9 to 12. Team captains Jenna Isley and Tori Smalkill have been a part of the Stars Palm team for all 4 years and are responsible for completing the Diva theme and collaborating on choreography. So excited to see this Diva theme. They're going to be sassy. They're going to have those big facial expressions we're looking for that you see traditionally from a palm squad.
Yeah, certainly that would seem to fit well with what people's image of Palm and cheerleading is.
And Bethlehem, they always have had a strong Palm program as well. They have a pretty large dance academy at their school. There are a lot of those girls who will dance outside of school as well, which can that can definitely benefit a team if they come with that previous dance experience. And they also have a very strong junior and senior dance program or Palm program. So we've seen a lot of teams come from Bethlehem. At times they've put out 3 Palm teams to these competitions. They have a strong program there. So I'm excited to see what their routine is like.
I believe the slight delay we have right now is just the judges making their final marks on the team that we saw previously that's in competition, which would be the Bedford Road senior Palm team. So just allowing them a minute or two to make those final marks.
And what's important too when the judges are making their marks is not only how high they're scoring certain teams, but how high they're scoring teams in relation to each other. So like I said, that first team will often set the tone for the competition. While the judges have certain things that they're looking for and they will make their scores accordingly, the scores will generally be within a certain, like a closer range kind of with whoever is competing. So they have to account for that, they have to take that in, and sometimes it means going through previous score sheets.
So it's a bit of a relativity thing, making sure that the scores more kind of reflect the competition that the teams are going up against, ranking them in a way through those scores.
And I believe, like, that's,
So far in the senior levels, we've seen Tommy Douglas Collegiate, Walter Murray Collegiate, Bedford Road Collegiate. Up next, it's going to be the Bethlehem senior team. We are hoping mere moments away from taking the floor.
And now they have to stand out there and wait by the mat to go on. And that can be the most nerve-wracking experience. Because at least when the music turns on, it's just muscle memory at this point. They've done that routine so many times that they got nothing to worry about. But no, right now they can sit there and take in the crowd, let their nerves, they'll feel their stomach in their throat. It's an exciting time. A lot of the time, the teams will be together in a huddle, rallying together last minute, getting those last minute pep talks in from their captains, senior team members. And it's kind of interesting watching the athletes while they wait. You'll have some who they get into the zone by having fun, loosening up, relaxing, dancing a little bit, talking to their friends. And then you'll see other ones who are just like a start face. They are thinking only about their routine and
in the zone.
They need to be in the zone.
All right, so we are ready now for the Bethlehem senior Palm team out of Saskatoon.
And a strong walk-on from them. Choreographed right from when they set foot to when they get off of the mat.
Interesting starting off the routine facing away from the judges.
Starting off with some Beyonce, who is the diva herself. Following that theme. Starting off with kind of a hip-hop section of the routine. So Palm isn't really a formal, traditional dance category such as jazz dancing or ballet or lyrical, let's say. So it's often a combination of those types of dance elements. You'll pull from different cultures, different dance areas, depending on what kind of theme you're trying to follow. So we'll see a lot of different aspects of dance within Palm. A lot of it is that hip-hop, a lot of it is that lyrical dancing, but we see technique coming from everywhere. There's showing off the levels. And this team is composed of 17 athletes grades 9 to 12, and it's really great to see what a learning environment that this sport truly fosters, because this is still a competitive team in the competition. All these teams are competitive, but a lot of them do have these younger athletes. So it's really interesting to see teams kind of with younger athletes showing up to compete against those primarily senior veteran teams. And we saw a team earlier, I believe, a team earlier who had graduated most of their athletes who would still come forward to perform. So really interesting to see kind of how the choreographers and coaches work with what they have, because sometimes you'll have a smaller turnout at tryouts, sometimes you'll have a huge turnout at tryouts, and it's great to see that all these teams are still competitive regardless of how big the school is or where they're coming from.
Bethlehem Collegiate, of course, one of the newer schools in Saskatoon.
Yes.
So not a long tradition of POM, just because the school hasn't been around for very long, but obviously they're starting to build something there.
Yes, and I believe they've had a POM team from the get-go, or maybe the second year that they were a school. So while they don't really have much of a POM background, POM was truly built with their school, essentially. Same with that Centennial program that we are going to be seeing after this routine. And I can see there are a few athletes on this team that I actually recognize throughout their years of grade 9 through 12 POM. So I wasn't necessarily involved with POM too much. My older sister was actually a member of the Bedford Road POM team.
Okay.
So I kind of had that, perspective on it as well, which was kind of interesting. I was going to a lot of their competitions, seeing the routines, seeing who was around, seeing who's coming back every year. So it's very interesting to see the community grow and to see some people, it's their younger sister now is out there.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next demo team.
It won't be too long before we start seeing second generation POM competitors, I would imagine. POM first a part of the Bedford Road Invitational Tournament in the 1990s, handing out trophies for the POM competition since 2009. And Centennial Collegiate won that first one. Since then, it's been by and large dominated by that Bedford Road squad. Although Centennial did win again in 2012, Marion Graham won in 2011. Every other year, it's been Bedford Road. Now we've got another demo team. This is the Tommy Douglas Collegiate Junior POM squad. Very colorful outfits.
Very colorful, very high energy. I'm liking this routine so far.
Was the Tommy Douglas senior team that actually kicked off our competition.
We can see a very strong performance from both sets of athletes. Making use those palms to make word shapes again. That's been a trend in cheerleading over the past few years that we've been seeing.
Oh, nice toss there.
And it looks like they're doing a shortened version of their routine as well to show off a clean performance. And when they're just demoing, they can really, like, that's, to me, it's a lot, you feel a lot better as an athlete when you go out there and perform something that you can truly execute well and amazing, and it builds a lot more confidence for the rest of the season rather than going out there panicking, struggling with certain parts of the routine. It's important for these athletes to be comfortable in what they do, and while they are pushed by their coaches to be the best that they can, the coaches do understand that they can't just put their dream routine on every single time.
Future looks bright at Tommy Douglas Collegiate Junior Team. A very strong performance here at the Bedford Road Invitational Tournament. And now the Warman invasion continues. Another club out of Warman demo squad, the Garnets, taking to the floor here at Bedford Road Collegiate. Perhaps slightly older than the two groups we've seen previously out of Warman.
These girls are... Oh, they're actually all the same age. This is their most advanced group, I believe, of this 5 to 8 year old crew. So they're also a level 2 routine. So it'll be exciting to see some of these younger athletes putting up the higher level stunts.
So just making sure they get the music right there.
Yes.
Always very important. That's got to be a little jarring when you're out there ready to kick off and all of a sudden the wrong music comes up.
Definitely. No. There we go. Now they're starting. Yeah, the athletes they'll hear that first tone of the music, and that's what starts off their routine. They don't hear that, it's confusion, it's scary, and you wonder, have the other people started? Am I supposed to just go regardless? So often they'll just restart the music for you. So this is our first stunt sequence here. switching up into those extended straddle sits.
Impressive elevation there.
Yep, crowd's loving it.
You can see all eyes glued on their coaches.
Yep. Very clean performance from this Warman G2 team. Good jumps at the front there.
A little tumbling there in front.
So we're starting to see it now at Prairie Fire as well. But the girls on these teams who are on that kind of younger age but higher level, these are going to be the girls that are really going to be making an impact on the gym in later years and are going to be improving exponentially. And we're already starting to see it at Prairie Fire, and I can bet that at Warman as well. They're seeing these younger athletes, maybe 10, 11 years old now, are moving into levels that before they only had senior athletes competing at, which is really great to see. For example, Prairie Fire cheerleading has a level 3 youth team for the first year this year, so those 11-year-old girls will be competing at a level higher than this, and I believe that Warman has that youth team as well at that high level, so it's really great to see the provincial development.
And of course,
here they have a pyramid structure going up as well.
we may have people tuning in from all over the country or around the world because we are online. So for those who don't know, Warman, basically a smaller town just north, I think it's officially a city now, just north of the city of Saskatoon, basically a bedroom community for Saskatoon. And obviously cheerleading and pom has really taken hold there. That's for a fairly small community, very impressive. They have this number of athletes taking part.
They had at the Warman Collegiate, they have Leslie she's the one who runs Warman Ultimate Cheerleading out there, and they have a very strong program. They have very good ties with the high school that's out there as well. And they practice out of the Legend Center, which also it's their kind of big sports complex out there that is also attached to the middle school. So they have lots of involvement kind of within the school. I know Warman has good junior and senior cheerleading programs as a collegiate, and a lot of those athletes will go between the club and the collegiate level.
So another look here at the young ladies out of Warman, getting ready to see our final team in competition here this afternoon, as moments away from the Centennial Senior Pom Squad, the 5th and final high school team taking part in the competition portion this afternoon. Seen performances from Tommy Douglas Collegiate, Walter Murray, Bedford Road, Bethlehem. And now, as Alexander mentioned a couple minutes ago, another one of the really newer schools in Saskatoon, Centennial Collegiate, getting ready to head out to the floor, getting themselves pumped up.
Yep, and Centennial is one of those other schools that they have a very strong dance program. It was one of the main parts of the school that they were actually trying to draw students into at first when they first opened it. So they have strong dance program, really great coaching out there. One of their coaches now, Polo Howlett, used to be one of the Bedford Road Pom coaches, and now he's coaching the Centennial Pom squad. So it's great to see that they'll stay involved in the sport and they'll keep coaching. They'll keep coaching even if they're with a rival school, so to speak, because there was a little bit of a Bedford Centennial rivalry going on for a while. They were both very competitive with each other, often taking a first place and a second place at one competition and switching roles at the other. So it's nice to see that the involvement is carried on even beyond that. And this Centennial Senior Pom squad is welcoming a lot of returning members this season. There are lots of members who had started on that junior pom team and worked their way up to the senior level, which is good to see that institution. And there are a total of 18 members on the team today, coached by Miss Binder, Mr. Howlett, and Miss Wong. Sorry,
Go ahead, Alexander, sorry.
Oh, they're just excited to compete. They have a very packed competition schedule this year and are excited to be traveling to Edmonton to compete as well. So we can see there's room for us to go outside of Saskatchewan with this sport.
That's a lot of fun. I remember being in high school, you got to take those trips to go and play whatever sport you happen to be involved in. And yeah, as you say, that can happen at the cheer and pom level as well. That's a lot of fun. That's a great team building experience.
It is.
When you can hit the road together as teenagers in high school. That's a lot of fun.
No, that's a lot of what we take away from the sport. And I was actually talking to a few members of the U of S team before this, and while I went with them on their nationals trip and I wasn't competing with them, I still had the time of my life, because it's those moments you make, those memories that you'll never forget, and it's just such an amazing experience building and growing with such a great group of people.
Yeah, it's interesting, those kind of memories you can build that'll last a lifetime. I remember back when I went to high school here in Saskatoon, I was nowhere near good enough to play basketball for our senior teams. I went to Walter Murray Collegiate, the Walter Murray team that actually won BRIT in 1990, that ended the huge Saskatoon drought. But it's fun coming back here to Bedford Road Collegiate, because one of the players on that team, Scott Ferguson, now the vice principal here at Bedford Road. Lots of great memories made here in this gym and in high school athletics in general. And now it's time for some memories to be made by the Centennial Senior Pom Squad.
And you see here they have that choreographed entrance as well. We saw that from most of the senior teams today.
Certainly makes sense. Why wouldn't you take advantage of every possible opportunity to make an impression on those judges and the fans?
Definitely. Good energy here to start us off. And this team looks to be co-ed as well. Showing off great flexibility at the front. The Centennial team has always been renowned for their technical ability, as we'll see there with 2 side aerials going right up the front. That's a very high level skill. See, they're making full use of the mat here with that formation. Work with the palms there, showing off the flexibility, and then they can work with the palms. This is a very high energy routine. The high palm toss there in the back.
Very nice.
Great height on the jumps as well. Very good technique on those turns in the second. And they're doing a lift in the back. That's something that has recently become a trend within the palm routines, is lifting athletes. It's another way that they can add to this score sheet, and they have to actually do it in such a way that it can't be counted as cheerleading. So when those athletes are being lifted into the air, it has to be a position that they could get to themselves if they were jumping, let's say, or that sort of thing. So taking into account of safety here, they don't want to be throwing athletes too high in the air for these palm routines, because there will be times when these girls won't be performing on a scrum floor. They'll be performing at halftime shows or at pep rallies, and that safety is very important. But they're still able to do those lifts. And a very good performance from the Centennial Palm Squad.
Absolutely. Our 5th and final team in competition this afternoon. So now the judges will get to work. We still have a few demonstration squads to enjoy. So judges will make their final marks on the teams in competition. And with any luck, we'll have a winner fairly soon after the competition wraps up. The demonstration part of it, that is. I know in years past, that could be an agonizing wait as you waited for those final marks to come in.
It's the longest 30 seconds of your life.
The time when you no longer have control over how well you're going to do. It's all up to someone else to judge it.
I think it's especially tricky for those senior athletes who this is the last time they're going through that, and they think, oh, I'm used to the weight. I know what it's like. It's fine. The announcements will be however they go is how it goes. But then you get there sitting, and that excitement builds just back up again, how you just remembered in grade 9, and it's a rush.
So this is the Bethlehem Junior Palm squad. Again, obviously a co-ed squad.
Yeah, and it looks like they're doing a Wild West game. Got lots of energy from him in the front. Great to see sometimes the junior athletes aren't as confident in their energy, but this one is
absolutely
showing it off, not holding anything back. And here they're really incorporating that Western theme, but still trying to keep it with palm, making note of those formations.
Interesting. It seems like it's not so many years ago that co-ed squads were something a little bit out of the norm that you didn't expect. I like it that the fact that this is becoming more the norm. It's great that obviously this is a sport, as is cheerleading. Anyone, if you're interested in it, you can take part in it.
Definitely. Especially with that palm program, because with cheerleading there is kind of that incentive for guys to join, because they understand, okay, I can be the person who lifts the girl up and that's my job and that's great. But with palm and dance they maybe don't know as much because they haven't been exposed to dance in their life. They've been told that they can't dance, that sort of thing. So when you see them come out and try out the new sports like this, it's really great to see, and it shows other boys that they can come out and do this sport. Very inclusive environment for everyone.
This guy is fantastic, putting on a great show, sort of the centerpiece of this team.
Yes. I'm still seeing lots of good energy from the girls as well. It's important, while they do have those centerpiece roles in the theme, in the routine, if you don't have every other athlete making it, like, creating the show, building up to it, it can really take away from the skills that they're performing. So we're seeing good build from all the athletes. They're making sure their formations are right in line so that nothing looks off on the outside to pull away from what the coaches are really trying to emphasize on their routine, what they're trying to showcase.
Bethlehem Junior Palm Squad, outstanding performance.
Lots of sass, lots of energy from that team, especially from a junior team.
Very, very impressive performance. Saw the Bethlehem Senior Palm Squad not too long ago. They put on a great show as well. Obviously, as we talked about when they were performing, definitely a program on the rise.
Yes.
The Prairie Fire Cheer Crossfire.
Another look here at the Bethlehem Junior Palm Squad.
Yep. Showing off that kind of do-si-do, doing it with 16 people or 20 people instead of 4.
And now another demo team making their way out on the floor. I'm guessing you might be familiar with some of these youngsters. It's the Prairie Fire Crossfire team.
Yes, I actually coached, I'm counting now, 4 or 5 of these athletes last year. So it's exciting to see that they're still staying with the program and to see what they do here. They're showing off good timing on the tumbling skills there. Those back walkovers. This is a level 1 routine. That's Ashley there coaching in the front. She is one of the first to be coming out with a multi-generational cheer family. She just had a daughter a couple years back who will probably be making it to the cheerleading world.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You're getting ready to head off and teach some 3-year-olds. She's basically right there.
Oh yeah. Very strong in their double bass. You see, one of the trends in cheerleading, we saw this with the Warman athletes and the Prairie Fire now as well, is that they might be including less skills to be super sharp, super clean. Because in cheerleading, like, the degree of difficulty, it doesn't really make too much of a difference to the eyes when you're watching it as a person in the crowd. So when you're watching in the crowd, you'll see someone go up, you'll see someone go down. Maybe you'll see them go up and they stick it and they're strong and they're confident and that's amazing, or maybe it won't look so good. But you won't really notice the little technical things that they're doing that the judges are kind of looking for. So these teams now are trying to just make that wow factor, that kind of, we can hit this strong, we can hit this sharp, and we're going to wow you, versus trying to add in a lot of technical elements that are kind of messy. And here we have them now doing another stunt sequence. You can see very clean, good flexibility in the back. And the timing on those switches is good as well. A little bit trouble there, but they kept it up for the rest of the stunt sequence.
And as we highlighted their coach a minute or so ago, Alexander, maybe that leads us into talking a little bit about the amount of dedication in terms of the coaches, something you obviously know well, working with Prairie Fire as well as with your other pursuits with the University of Saskatchewan team. This requires a tremendous amount of time, not just from the athletes, but the coaches as well.
Yes. So the coaches are there. They're obviously, like, they have to put together lesson plans for each of the practices. They're choreographing the routines. They're managing athletes' skill development. So if they'll choreograph a routine based on the skills that the athletes already have, or athletes that or skills that they expect to have, and then they have to work with the risk of, do we choreograph this athlete in if they might have that skill or might not? So there's a lot of that planning that needs to go on. They're planning practices. They're supervising in competitions. They're traveling with the athletes. They're going to extra meetings. They're meeting together as coaches. It's a lot of work as the coaches, but it's such a rewarding experience that you're having fun the whole time. Like, I was last night doing practice plans for all day today, and it just flew by. I was having a blast doing it. And it's truly, you don't think about that extra time you put in because you're having so much fun. And the reward is, it's really amazing seeing your team go out and perform an excellent routine that they can be proud of. Because when you have your athletes proud and they're happy, you're going to be happy.
4 more demonstration squads to go in the cheerleading and palm showcase at the 49th annual Bedford Road Invitational Tournament. Then we'll be crowning a champion in the senior palm competition. So a few more demos to go. This one is pretty fun. We heard a little bit about it from Carolyn Parr-Hillstad off the top of our show. Actually, an alumni group coming up next. I think that shows as much as anything just the way this sport can get into your blood. You know, even after these have all graduated, you probably recognize them from years past, but they don't want to leave the sport behind. No. So an actual alumni squad here from Bedford Road.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to get involved, and it further shows, like, these are the girls that were probably hanging out in the dance room, being staples of that community, and they stayed friends, stayed together throughout it. And so this alumni squad, they won't be practicing as much because of other commitments and that sort of thing, but they still get together, they have fun, and it's often those kind of more technically skilled dancers who are passionate about it, so they can still put together a good performance for us. Like you can see here, they're fast-paced right off the start.
And obviously a slightly smaller squad than maybe what we've seen from some of the high school teams, but I guess when you're dealing with fewer numbers, you just kind of have to roll with that. There's still ways you can make cool formations and impress the judges, even though there's fewer competitors out there.
Yep. And a lot of these girls on these teams are coaches. They're still involved with the community today, so they're going to be collaborating in their choreography. It's a fun environment to be in. It's generally a team working together. You can see they're getting a good reaction from the crowd. They always love this retro red team.
And I guess if there's one squad that maybe doesn't have nerves about performing at Bedford Road during BRIT,
definitely
these young ladies who obviously a lot of experience, likely all of them have probably performed here the last 4 years.
Yep, all
or beyond,
We're definitely on that palm team. They're definitely in those dance classes. A lot of these girls came from dance outside of school or a very athletic background. You can see, like, they have no trouble performing. They're just having a fun time. This is easy for them. And it's very good to see how technically sharp they are, because we have now closer to the end of the competition. Most of the athletes are out sitting beside the mat watching, so they can really see what they can work towards, what they can strive towards, because they are setting a very high standard for what palm can be with this team.
And again, they have that home court advantage. Strong support here from the crowd at Bedford Road Collegiate. Certainly alumni, a huge part of the Bedford Road Invitational Tournament, both on the cheer and palm as well as the basketball side.
Oh yeah.
Many people make this a big part of their January, and obviously that's the case for the alumni team.
Yep. Well, myself included, I'm back here every year, and I don't think that's going to change.
Can't get enough of it. So 2 more demo teams to go, and then we will crown a champion for Senior Palm 2017 Bedford Road Invitational Tournament. 49th installment of this tournament. Will it be Bedford Road making it 5 years in a row? Or will another of the teams from Saskatoon come in and take that trophy away? We'll find out in just a few minutes. Right now, getting ready as we watch the previous routine, the alumni squad from here at Bedford Road Collegiate. We're going to get another Warman team. That's right, the Warman squads just keep on coming. This is the Warman G2 squad.
I believe it said on the screen they're also minis, so these are the same age athletes, and this might even be a higher level than the team we saw before. So really showing how much the sport is growing. If we have 4 different teams coming out of Warman performing at BRIT, all in the same age category, that's pretty impressive.
That's amazing. I wouldn't have guessed there were that many kids living in Warman.
No. And the interesting thing is, while Warman is like out in the suburb of Warman and Prairie Fire is in the city, there are athletes that will commute between the two, or will commute from Warman to Prairie Fire, or even from Prairie Fire to Warman. And that often just comes down to who you're friends with in the program, or if you're like carpooling, or just kind of where you've had your experience in the past. Some athletes move, but they stay with the same gym. But you're gonna get a good cheerleading experience regardless of where you are. And that's one thing that I think the community in Saskatchewan has been striving towards with the Saskatchewan Cheerleading Association, SCA, is to really make it fair and make it a good experience regardless of where you're competing and where you're being coached, so that these athletes can all have a safe experience and get the most out of the sport.
Certainly opportunities available at all age levels. If you want to do pom and cheer, opportunities abound here in Saskatchewan.
Here they're moving into a pyramid sequence, all the way up to the top in the middle there. Switching it.
As this is going on, final results being tabulated from our senior pom competition. Our panel of 7 judges working to determine who will be this year's champion. Nice hand for the Warman G2 team.
Very good performance from these young athletes.
Outstanding. So we have one more demo squad to go. Another team from out of Bethlehem. This one will be a lot of fun as well. These are the Bethlehem Superstars getting ready to make their way out onto the floor.
And the Bethlehem Superstars, they really are a crowd favorite. It is 13 students in the functional integrated program at Bethlehem. This team had their spotlight this year as a result of last year's BRIT performance, where they made their mark. And with the help of some senior pom members, the group will be competing this year in Warman, Regina, and Saskatoon, as well as provincials. The team would like to thank everyone that supported the team financially with the costs involved in traveling and competition fees, for without their financial help, competing would not be possible. The routine this year is dedicated to making dreams come true without limitations, and with a little help from our friends, we can truly do anything.
Absolutely. Bethlehem Superstars demo squad. Huge reaction from the crowd as they made their way out.
They always make for a great note to end on with this competition.
Crowd really getting into it, clapping along. Big smiles out there on the floor.
Stadium just woke up again. We were kind of waiting for those scores, going through those demo performances, but the crowd is fully back here, clapping along, bouncing along.
What a great experience for these young athletes, getting to perform here at Bedford Road Collegiate in front of the BRIT crowd. As Alexander said, crowd right into it.
Yep. It's great to see the athletes are having fun out there as well.
That's what it's all about, right? Making sure that they're having fun. It's a lot of hard work, but
they're soaking up the crowd as well. It's great how the crowd feeds back onto the performance, and from that, it goes back and forth and just gets louder and louder and more exciting in here.
And as you mentioned, some of the senior competitors from Bethlehem also helping out with the team. A great job by them. Because obviously, as we talk about, it takes so much dedication and time commitment to do your own cheerleading, your own pom squad, as well as all your academic stuff. So kudos to the youngsters that are helping out with this squad as well.
Yes. They're setting themselves up for success in the future. If they can manage their school schedule, be on this high-level competitive team, coach other teams, they're really going to be they're making good habits for themselves now. And a great ending from the Bethlehem team.
Great job by the Bethlehem Superstars. Standing ovation.
Yep.
You're right. What a great note to end this competition on.
The applause just keeps getting louder right now.
Seen a lot of great moments in this gym over the years, but that one is truly special.
Oh yeah.
So now we are, with any luck, moments away from the results. We are actually going to see another demo. I just heard Jordy Hooten say that's not on our schedule, but we will see those University of Saskatchewan athletes heading back out onto the floor, and we will definitely always make time for them because they put on an outstanding show.
Excited to see them out there.
Yeah. Getting ready to head off to Denver, as you say.
It looks like they're going to be performing a version of their routine today.
So this would be similar to what they would have done when they were in Toronto?
Yes, we typically compete on what's called a sprung floor, so it'll have some spring underneath it. We might not actually see any tumbling in this run. Yeah, a few of them are throwing their tumbling passes, but it's a different surface. So they might not be throwing all the skills that they normally would, but here we have rewinds. That's a level 6 section, so they do a backflip up into the stunt. And we can see them standing tall on those lifts. See very high degree of difficulty compared to the other athletes, doubling down from their stunts. Here's probably the most exciting part, is going to be that basket section. There we go, with that next basket toss again. And this team has struggled probably more than any other team I've been on with injuries this season. We've had countless. It'd be the smallest thing that would take an athlete out for months. So they've struggled a lot, and it's really good to see how well they're doing with aside of all that. Now we're moving into a tumbling section.
And I would imagine a lot of these athletes would have been a part of the Bedford Road Invitational Tournament Pom and Cheerleading Showcase when they were in high school, because obviously many of them are from Saskatoon and would have done this at the high school level, so probably fun to come back and be a part of this once again.
Yeah. It's always fun to come out to BRIT. It has a special place in a lot of people's hearts, and there are a few Saskatoon-based athletes on the team who did perform in those pom squads and cheerleading teams, and it's interesting, a lot of them will go from pom to cheerleading because there isn't as much opportunity to dance at the university, whereas there is still that cheerleading team. Very clean in that second stunt sequence. Back to a front touchdown. Moving into a pyramid section. So now with these level 6 pyramids, they'll look kind of more like the pyramids you would imagine to see on TV, where we're stacking athletes 3 people high and doing flips over and other stuff like that. Like they're backflipping up now into a 2-2-1 A-frame pyramid.
A little bit of a fall there on the one side.
A little bit of a fall, but held together on the other side. They still have that dance section of the routine as well. Very good performance from the U-Bets team, really setting a standard for what the athletes can be doing in future years. Because there are a lot of girls and boys who come from the cheerleading program, come from Bedford, come from Palm. Very good
performance by the U.S. So certainly wish this team good luck as they head off to Denver for competition. For yourself, Alexander, I don't know where you're at in terms of eligibility or with your knee issue. Are you hoping to return to competition at the university level?
Yeah, I am hoping to return at the collegiate level. Right now I'm looking at getting surgery in the spring, and then after that it'll be a 9-month recovery, but I will be able to cheer again. I will be able to perform at the level I was again, so that's very good. It's not a career-ending injury by any means, and so I'm excited to get back in there and perform with that team because it's a great group of people.
That is great to hear. We certainly wish you good luck as well in your recovery process. Take another look at your teammates there from the University of Saskatchewan squad. Mentioned they're getting ready to head off to Denver. Wow, live, the floor is once again being transformed. Bedford Road Collegiate getting ready to host some basketball again.
Yeah, there's that mat crew going out. You can see everyone has a mat that they know they need to go to. Your job is your job. This has been decided for weeks now, and if someone's not doing their part, then it's trouble. A little bit of a traffic jam with the rest.
Absolutely.
And now there's a little bit of a...
This time, before we announce the results, we'd like to sing the Bedford Road School Song.
Always a favorite here at Bedford Road
The
Collegiate.
words to the school song
And you'll
are in
see
the
now
corner of
a
the
race
gym
for the
to my
Bedford
right.
teams to try and sit on that Red Hawks logo.
Sing along if you know the
That's a
words. Sing loud
tradition.
and proud, all Bedford Road alumni.
Here we go with the Bedford Road song. Crowd is pumped here at Bedford Road Collegiate, moments away from the final results in the senior palm competition.
You see the athletes making their way to the center of the gym now to wait for the results. It's always common they'll all huddle up. All the groups will be in their own little kind of crew holding hands.
Sure.
Last minute prayers to see if anything will help that decision. Lots of anticipation.
Bedford Road, 4-time defending champions in the senior palm competition. The last team that wasn't from Bedford Road to win this competition was in 2012 when Centennial Collegiate won it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here are the results.
Who will it be this year?
For the palm competition. Coming in 3rd place this year, the Bethlehem Senior Palm.
So Bethlehem Senior Palm, again, we talked about during competition, a school on the rise in terms of building that palm tradition.
In 2nd place, the Centennial Senior Palm.
So Centennial Collegiate coming in 2nd. Mention the fact they are 2-time champions, 2009, 2012. So will it be a 5-peat?
And the champions of this year's palm competition, the Bedford Road Senior
is
Palm.
A 5-peat for the Bedford Road Redhawks Senior Palm Squad.
Once again,
Could the team
taking
please
home
come
that trophy.
to accept the
There's
championship
potential for
trophy?
an athlete who'd started in grade
Congratulations
9
to all
have
the
4 years
teams
of the Bedford
and
Road
demo teams in
BRIT
this year's
championship under their
competition.
belt.
Certainly an outstanding performance from the Bedford Road Senior Palm squad. I don't think anyone's super surprised by those results. What are your thoughts, Alexander?
Well, I think the results speak for themselves. They were really sharp. There was a fast-paced
Fans, let's have another big hand for all the competitors in the palm and the demo teams here this afternoon.
So one last round of applause for the competitors.
Congratulations
in the
to Bedford
cheerleading
Road Senior
showcase
Palm.
of the 49th annual Bedford Road Invitational Tournament. Congratulations once again to the Bedford Senior Palm squad, who have won it for the 5th year in a row, 7th time
Thank you for attending the BRIT
for the Bedford
cheer
Road
and palm competitions.
squad. Don't forget
Just a reminder that the BRIT tournament continues now with the BRIT semifinals coming right up.
From Bedford Road Collegiate, we've got a doubleheader of basketball coming your way tonight from the 49th annual Bedford Road Invitational Tournament. First off, we'll have the 3rd place game at 7:30 Saskatoon time, or so. Things are maybe running a little bit behind here at Bedford Road. And then the championship game at 9 o'clock. There will be a Saskatchewan team in that one. Will it be Campbell? Will it be Marion Graham? We will find out this afternoon, and we will be back on air with you tonight at 7:30 as Scott Hawley and I will have the call on the 3rd place final and the championship games. Until then, on behalf of Alexander Schubert and the entire Shaw TV crew, I'm Simon Hyatt. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next year from Bedford Road Invitational Tournament.